Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will discuss the impact of European diseases on indigenous populations. In the summer of 1520, the great city of Tenochtitlan, home to the Mexica people, hummed with life. Markets bustled with merchants selling cacao, jade, and obsidian. The scent of roasting maize and burning copal filled the air. Priests in elaborate feathered headdresses made offerings to the gods, and warriors trained in preparation for battle. Yet within weeks, a silent and invisible enemy would bring the mighty empire to its knees. It began with the traders who had traveled to the coast. They returned with news of strange, bearded men who rode animals unlike any seen before. But they also returned with something far deadlier, sickness that made their skin blister, their throats burn, and their bodies collapse in feverish agony. What started as isolated cases soon spread through entire neighborhoods, striking down warriors, artisans, and nobles alike. Ameyatl, a young healer, had spent her days learning the art of medicine from her grandmother, an esteemed Tenochtitlan. She had treated wounds from battle, prepared herbs to soothe pain, and even assisted in childbirth. She had never seen anything like this disease. Patients burned with fever and developed strange pustules across their bodies. Some survived, but many perished within days, their faces barely recognizable, their once proud bodies reduced to weakness. "Grandmother, what is this?" Ameyatl asked, as she watched yet another mother cradle the lifeless body of her child. The old healer shook her head, her weathered face lined with sorrow. "It is a curse brought by the strangers," she whispered. "The gods test us." Panic spread faster than the disease itself. Families abandoned the sick in fear of contagion. The great emperor Moctezuma shut himself away in his palace, seeking answers from the gods and his priests. But the gods were silent. The priests who once spoke with certainty now wept in confusion. By the time the Spanish, led by Hernán Cortés, returned to Tenochtitlan, the empire had already been crippled. Entire districts were deserted, the streets filled with the bodies of the dead and dying. Those who remained were too weak to resist. The warriors who would have fought with the strength of jaguars now lay in their homes, too feeble to hold a weapon. Ameyatl's world crumbled. Her grandmother succumbed to the illness, leaving her alone in a city that no longer resembled the one of her childhood. She moved through the streets, doing what she could to ease suffering. The sheer scale of death was beyond her ability to heal. The disease did not discriminate. Young, old, noble, commoner, warrior, and priest all fell victim to its grasp. Meanwhile, across the vast lands of the Americas, other nations faced similar devastation. The Haudenosaunee in the north, the Inca in the Andes, Cherokee in the rolling hills of the southeast, all were struck by the invisible hand of disease brought by European explorers and settlers. The death toll was staggering. In some places, entire villages were wiped out, leaving only ruins behind. Where once there were thriving civilizations, there were now empty homes, overgrown fields, and the echoes of voices lost to time. Among the Haudenosaunee, a wise elder named Tyanita tried to rally her people. "We must survive," she urged. "Our ancestors, for our children. We will learn. We will endure." How could they fight what they could not see? With every passing moon, more fell ill. Those who survived carried the weight of grief, their families and friends gone in a matter of weeks. Further south, in the Andean highlands, the great Inca ruler, Huayna Capac, fell to a similar disease. His death plunged the empire into chaos. Without a clear successor, the once unified empire fractured. Civil war broke out between his sons, making it even easier for the Spanish to exploit their weakness. And so, across the continent, the cycle repeated. Disease arrived before the sword, softening the defenses of mighty nations. The conquerors did not have to strike the first blow. The unseen force of smallpox, measles, and influenza had already done it for them. Ameyatl, wandering the broken remains of Tenochtitlan, finally understood. This was not the work of gods or curses. It was something new, something foreign, something her people had no protection against. And yet she refused to give in to despair. Gathering the remaining survivors, she taught them what she could: how to care for the sick, how to purify water, to protect those who had not yet fallen ill. The world had changed, but her spirit had not. Mexico, like the many other peoples of the Americas, would endure. They would mourn, would suffer, they would survive. And so, amid the devastation, hope remained. Because even in the darkest times, the human spirit finds a way to rise again.